No, no, no.
The order for British forces to take part in military action in Iraq.
Have if we listened to the muttering idiot sitting opposite me.
And stable leadership.
I'm sure she'll tell us one day what it actually means.
One chlorinated chicken that I can see in this house, and he's on
that I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
Hello and welcome to Political Chinwag. I'm Scott.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Zoe.
How are we both?
I'm well, Scott. Thank you for asking. It's been a bit of a chaotic week, to be honest with you. Last week till Christmas, so just getting everything done, getting everything bought. So yeah.
I'm also very good as well. I agree with Jordan. It's been chaotic, but I'm looking forward to celebrating Christmas.
Absolutely. I can't wait to start drinking.
And if you're listening to the podcast, we've got a bit of a Christmas quiz towards the end of it, so stay tuned. See how many you can get correct. Answers will be in the following podcast.
So, are we ready for the new stories of the week?
The story that stood out to me this week was the event at the O2 Academy that involved in several people being injured in a crash because people were trying to storm the O2 to see an artist, which I'll be honest, I've never heard of, by the name of Asaki. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So police officers are being alleged of pushing a woman down the stairs in an attempt to control the crowds. So it's a bit of a fraught situation between the police and the public. And I was just interested what everyone else's thoughts may be on that.
What was the name of the artist, did you say?
I think it's Asaki. He's a some sort of Afro-Caribbean artist. That's what it said in the article. So apparently at 9:35 on Thursday night, crowds were trying to force their way into the venue to see Asaki. Apparently the crowd surged forward, attempting to smash doors, and at least one officer was attacked and 8 people taken to hospital with crush injuries. So it was quite a serious event. But obviously a police officer was seen pushing a woman down the stairs, trying to stop them from entering. But obviously with all the other things that are going on in regards to police force, it's obviously not looking good for the police.
No, not at all.
Sorry, were these people that actually had tickets to go and see the artist or not?
No, so the people trying to force their way in were people that didn't have tickets.
You must
so
be
they were literally just trying to force in.
You must be a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I've never personally heard of him, but
nor have I.
No.
For people to storm the O2, I have not seen any other information about it yet, other than what I saw in the paper.
I've not heard anything personally. I'm a part of a couple of groups on Facebook for current, previous, and potential serving police officers. And I'm not even seeing anything within them groups. And they usually post stuff to get opinions on sort of misconduct of the police, etc. And yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't think we can say for certain or even have a judgment on the incident involving the police officer because, well, there's 2 sides of every story. And if you're not there, I'm sure the police watchdog, etc., will be doing a full investigation on that. But as you say, the opinions on the police right now aren't ideal, especially down south, really. The Met, for a start, just haven't got a good police. I'm assuming it was the Met.
It was the Met, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and the police force is a very politicized thing at the moment, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So it's always going to be emotive and perhaps escalated to a scale that, may not be factual, but still, regardless of the situation, I think pushing a woman down the stairs isn't a proper way to.
I think it's the way it's worded, though.
Yes.
Has he pushed her, or I'm assuming it's a he. Is it a male or a female police officer?
It's a male officer, and it is
male
alleged.
officer.
Obviously, it's based on witness.
Eyewitness accounts. And
yeah,
it's very hard in a sort of if you're in what sounds like what's going to be quite close, compact space. People are pushing and shoving. Are you able to actually fully understand what's happened in front of you?
No, definitely. And I think also if people ask, because some witness accounts are saying that they literally couldn't get any more breath in their body because the pressure from the crowd was pushing that hard. So, I mean, the officer could have seen someone struggling, pushed because of that. And there could be a million different reasons. But it definitely sounds like a scary experience. I wouldn't want to be trapped in something like that.
No, certainly not. Well, moving on to the story I found. So there was obviously a couple of stories. There was Elon Musk I don't know whether any of you seen the poll that he's put on Facebook. If he got voted to no longer be the CEO of Twitter, he would step down. And he actually has been voted that people do not want him to be CEO anymore. Whether he steps down,
I've never seen such a big backfire.
Oh,
As it stands, the
I
poll
did
was not
see
this.
though that it's now going to Twitter Blue users. So anyone who's obviously subscribed to Twitter will be the only ones allowed to now vote in the poll as to whether he should stay or not.
So the people that actually pay for his service, then basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you.
So I'll be casting my vote soon. I'll let you know what I vote for.
I've got your blue tick, though.
Yeah, that's because I changed my profile picture.
Is that a thing, is it?
Yeah, so apparently you're not allowed to change your profile picture, but I rebelled and I did it. So I'm just waiting for my account to be reviewed.
What, once your membership's up for renewal?
No, I should get my blue tick back soon.
I'd be claiming the days that you haven't got back.
Well,
'Cause
I've not. The only thing I've lost is the blue tick.
But that's
I've
the
still
only
got all the other features.
That's the only important thing, that blue tick.
Well, it is, I know, but I do quite like being able to edit my tweets. And I like that my Twitter logo's pink, whereas everyone else's is blue.
I tell you what I did notice, and I tried to do it on our Twitter account. Have you seen how some companies now have a square profile photo on Twitter? It looks so much nicer. Is that a benefit of this Twitter Blue then?
I don't think Twitter Blue users can have square profile picture at the moment, unless obviously it does change.
Interesting. Well,
eventually,
go on, Scott.
I say eventually we'll just be famous enough that we'll just have the gold tick, won't we?
Exactly.
I'd have bought Twitter Blue if it did not actually clarify when you looked at the verification that you were subscribed to it, because that's a massive off-put for me, personally.
Yeah.
But
it must be really annoying for people that earned the tick through growth of their social media platform, and then it's been taken away. That must be really annoying.
It depends who it is.
Well, exactly.
Some people shouldn't have that blue tick that's got it, but hey.
I agree.
That's Twitter for you.
Yeah. So away from that story, there was actually a story that I noticed in the Times, and it's more global. It's I believe Berlin. It's about a Nazi concentration camp secretary who, at the age of 97, was found guilty of aiding over 10,000 murders, but he has been spared jail. And so obviously there's still survivors out there who sadly were a part of these horrendous concentration camps. And this person in particular was a personal assistant to Paul Werner Hope. I can't pronounce it. Obviously, there'd be a proper way to pronounce it. I can't pronounce anything really. But yeah, so they were an SS officer and an ardent Nazi in charge of the camp. And it was a female, 97-year-old female, my apologies. She handled the reams of correspondence, including lists of prisoners to be condemned in execution or deported to the death camps at Auschwitz. So this person was obviously just the admin assistant, but processed this paperwork that essentially sent thousands of people to the death. And it's quite a horrifying thing. It's but they have been spared jail. Now, is that because of the age, do you reckon? Or is it because of the historic sort of, because to me, you would want to prove a point that no matter your age, if you were involved in these horrific crimes, war crimes, that you will be prosecuted. And to me, sparing them jail, I understand it's 97. Is it because it's going to be a cost thing, so they might need a lot of care within jail? I don't know the full sort of scenario.
She's essentially a genocidal admin lady.
Effectively, yeah. Effectively, she's just sat there like, oh, can you process this list of prisoners that are going to be sent to the death? And I don't know how anyone.
I mean, but what? Oh no, agreed. But is it not indoctrination in sort of propaganda or maybe even fear? I mean, what would you do if SS officers that are known for storming people's houses, kidnapping people?
Well, she's clearly applied for a role, and she's worked with one of the top people at this concentration camp. She's not going to just be someone that's been forced to do it to be in the role that she's in, because that would just make it very easy to cause issues with the processing, etc. So,
I mean,
she had to have been loyal to the regime. in order
I
to
don't know
do
whether they're
that.
not just putting her in prison, though, to be fair.
Yeah, like I say, it's a horrendous thing. Obviously, a lot of people that were involved in these death camps come, obviously, the end of the Second World War. The vast majority of them were actually executed for the war crimes.
Yeah.
And obviously, things have changed. We no longer execute, but it's a severe thing. And to be fair, what shocked me more is that she's female. I thought the majority of people that were sort of high up in the Nazi regime in regards to this type of stuff would have been male. So that's actually surprised me enough, to be honest with you. But yeah, so she's obviously she's been found guilty of it, but she's been spared prison, which is
I mean,
shocking.
essentially, she got care needs. Is she going to end up like what? Where's she going to run to? Where's she going to go? At 97?
Another thing that I've noticed as well is they've actually blurred the photo of them out. So there's a photo of them in the car and they've blurred them out. They're in a wheelchair, but they've blurred the face out. Obviously, that's for personal safety reasons.
Yeah.
Because there is a photo of them in the 1944, but of course, you're not going to be able to tell what they look like now. But she was 21 or younger at the times of the crime. So very, very young. And like I say, it's...
Have they specified what time frame she was working for?
43 to 45.
That's pretty much near the end, isn't it? What year did the war start? Is it 39? Am I making that in my head?
39 or 39. So obviously, 1944, we finally effectively D-Day landing. So we got back into Europe, into like obviously France mainland, and that's when sort of Hitler's war started to change. To be fair, Hitler's downfall was when Operation Barbarossa went terribly wrong when he tried to invade Russia, and when the Russians could actually fight a war and win. But yeah, I thought I'd plug that there.
Yeah.
But
if you suddenly go missing, we'll know why.
Yeah, we know.
What you talking about? The new bloody Zelensky was what failed to get him. I'll be fine. But no, it is. Obviously the crimes were from June 1943 to April 1945. So essentially, I would assume the crimes ended when that concentration camp was liberated by the troops, whether it's British, American, or Soviets. It doesn't state whereabouts this camp was. But yeah, it's the trial actually started, by the looks of it, years and years ago. And since the landmark trial of 2011, trial of John. Oh no, this was someone else that was actually. I remember seeing this on the news. So this other person that I'm not even going to try and pronounce the surname. First name's John. They were prosecuted obviously years and years later, and they were very fragile. But they actually got prison time then, whereas this lady here has been sort of not given prison time, which is, in my opinion, shocking. And
I agree with you. She should go to prison. She's gone her whole life. We managed to get away with her involvement in one of the worst genocides in history. Even if you are the admin lady.
More than half of the 110,000 inmates that were kept at the camp where she worked died. More than half. So to me, so this concentration camp, when it was liberated, was being liberated by the Russians because the concentration camp was in Poland. So the Russians were liberated that, and
so their bad times got worse.
Exactly, because the Russians, we all know, were just as sort of vile as any other regime, really, and they were really, really bad. Sadly, it was a spit roast, wasn't it, for the Eastern Europeans? They got fucked from both sides. Garrett Scott.
Honestly, Scott's face when you said spit roast.
I was trying not to look at him. But that's what it was. They were fucked from both sides of the fight. But yeah, so I am shocked she's not been given prison time. I'm also rather frustrated by it at the same time, because that sort of sets precedence now of anyone else who's committed these crimes are still alive. They're going to feel that, well, she never got prison time. Why should I? Type thing. And the way they've played the face out's obviously protecting her as well, but well hidden.
Yeah, it's a crappy outcome. But I guess what would anyone get from her going to prison at 97? I suppose
There's still families of those that perished in these camps, though. That'll
no, I agree.
want to see.
It would probably be more symbolic, though, wouldn't it? I would like to bring up. I'm assuming everyone's aware of Jeremy Clarkson's comments on Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
Vile comments. I think we need to. I'm not a Meghan Markle fan. I highly disagree with the way it's went on with the royal family, but to say such absurd, such disgusting, such vile comments on social media.
I get the joke he was trying to make.
I don't think that was the joke he was trying to make. I honestly feel that he's fucked up and he's managed to sort of try and wiggle his way out of it. But I think this is going to catch up on him. I honestly think he's going to have some serious consequences now from this. His new TV series, new series of his form show, Clarkson Form, starts in the new year, and you might see an impact on the ratings. You might just because that was discussed by our comments, especially during a time where we are trying to protect women online.
Yep, definitely.
And
it's not been timed well, is it?
It's horrendous. And another thing is, so many people sadly commit suicide through online bullying, and obviously having such comments thrown at them. We can only have a look at obviously. What was her name? 2020 presenter, Big Brother. I tweeted about it, so I should know.
It wasn't Big Brother. It was Love Island.
You're on about
Love
Caroline
Island.
Flack.
Caroline Flack. The hatred she got from the media and other people online, and then sadly she took her own life. And I think lessons haven't been learned from that. And it is very dangerous to throw them words out because people idolise Jeremy Clarkson. And if they see he can say stuff like that, they'll feel like they can.
Yeah.
And if I'm honest with you, I personally feel that this should be looked at as something a lot more serious than what it has been. He shouldn't have a slap across the wrists. And frankly...
But he's not even really apologised either, has he? Like, the tweet he then sent out afterwards wasn't really much of an apology,
it was forced by his PR team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Clarkson apology, wasn't it?
I get Clarkson's humour, and I actually find him really entertaining. But that wasn't funny. That was just setting a precedence for other people. Meghan and Harry already get a lot of stick, fair enough.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they bring a lot of onto themselves. But that wasn't stick. That was pure hatred in that. And for a publication to actually obviously set it out there, I think that's bad as well.
I'm surprised it got past the editor. It was genuinely quite shocking that it got past that point.
Yeah, and they should be held accountable for such a sort of publication being. At the end of the day, it is disgusting. Even Jeremy Clarkson's own daughter came out.
Yeah.
About it as well, and she stood up to her dad a couple of times. But yeah, it shouldn't have went publicised, and it certainly shouldn't have been spoken. I don't expect that from people far right, who aren't sort of got the public profile Jeremy Clarkson has, to see such stuff put by him. I think he's damaged his own reputation massively. And I think
I agree.
I think he might struggle to survive this because people don't forget. And as much as Meghan Markle isn't sort of this fairy tale person that people hoped for, she doesn't deserve such comments such as that.
No, she doesn't. It was a disgusting comment.
I will be interested when we go do the Christmas quiz to see what our royal reporter Sean has to say about it, to be honest with you, because obviously he is very vocal on his displeasure of Meghan and Harry. So we'll have to pitch that to him before the Christmas quiz. So Political Chipmunks now on Patreon. You can support us over there. You can join our mug club, or you can head down and look at some of the more affordable support methods that you can do with us, including the Rich Tea support, the Bourbon, and the ultimate Hobnob. So please, go if you can, spare a bit of change each month and support the podcast. Thank you. Shall we move into our subject of the week, which is going to be the Rwanda and the fact that it's now been seen as perfectly fine to jet people off. What's your opinions on that, Zoe? I'm interested.
I think just because it's legal doesn't mean that it's not bad. So the courts might be saying it's fine, but is it though?
Is it morally okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get where you come from. Scott, your opinion? I'm intrigued.
I think it's going to be challenged. I don't think the ECHR isn't going to challenge it because we currently still fall under that because we're still part of the ECHR. So I think it's definitely going to be challenged until we get our Bill of Rights, in which case then we can disregard what they say. Rwandan flights have been halted since, is it June, July? Summer they stopped them, didn't they?
Yeah.
15th of June, 2022.
And again, another one of my concerns is cost. I mean, if we're sending a whole plane with 2 migrants to Rwanda, is that cost efficient? It's another populist move for me. I think it's another thing to appeal to populists to say we're doing something to increase the polls. I agree with the processing of illegal immigrants. It needs to happen somewhere, and it could act as a brilliant deterrent because people think if we're going to go there, they're going to shop us straight off to Rwanda.
I don't think it's going to act as a deterrent. I think it's going to be harder to get people to catch them, and I think they're going to sort of try and blend in a bit more.
I think that investment could have gone into managing our borders better.
Well, the estimated cost of the Boeing 767 that was due to fly out on the 15th of June before it was halted was apparently £500,000. £500,000. So I don't know how many of these. I don't know how many people can be seated on the Boeing 767. I don't know. But how much is it going to be to send them over there? How much are we paying? Obviously, the Rwandan government to do it as well.
Yeah.
It's is it cost effective? I don't think it will be cost effective. I think that money could be better put into administrating, getting these sort of applications processed quicker, border security as well put into there. I think this is, as obviously our Home Secretary said, it's their dream. I think this is just a fantasy now in order to win votes from the Conservative Party.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it's morally correct. And I just feel that, and Rwanda, to be honest with you, is it a safe place? That's one thing that I've looked at. One of the arguments was from the charities and the groups that were protesting the Rwanda flights was that Rwanda wasn't strictly a very safe place to be sending people.
I've questioned this before as well.
So realistically, I think it's a terrible decision. It was a terrible idea. It was a populist idea. And to be honest with you, I very rarely say this, but I agree with the ECHR on this regard. I feel like the UK government now are going for the easiest options to win votes, rather than looking at actual processes that is going to work, that is going to be cost effective, because this isn't cost effective. And that's actually going to be long-term beneficial. Right now, we're looking to win votes, we're looking to turn the tides on the polls. And to be honest with you, I don't think this will. I honestly think this is just a terrible policy.
I think the problem they have, I think the whole idea around the Rwanda thing is they can't, when people come here illegally, they're not going to be carrying their documents, so we don't know where they're necessarily coming from, so you can't send them home. So I think that's part of the issue. We end up keeping them here, and then I think our control over people why they're here is so lapse that they disappear. If we put people in a hotel, they're not stopped from leaving the hotel.
No,
they'd just be gone.
Well, even the stories of the buses going into the city of London and just opening the doors and letting migrants off the buses a couple of months back. Do you know when the processing centres were overfilled and they were just doing that? So it just shows you that there's a lack of care. There's a lack of, to me, this policy is actually a lack of responsibility. They're trying to shift the responsibility of the government to actually increase it and make our policies better. It's just them wanting to pass the responsibility onto a third party, Rwanda, to do the hard work, when we should be looking at processing applications quicker, reducing the overall cost of housing these migrants, illegal migrants, and also looking at preventative measures on the border crossings. Now, I think the issue for us is, unlike landlocked countries, we have a body of water that surrounds us, and you cannot just stop them in the channel. It is unsafe, and it is just inhumane to stop them and leave them in the water. So we have to welcome them to our country. But this is when a partnership with France, which Rishi's been trying to do, will come into play. If we could get the correct one that benefits the UK as well as France. Rwanda, I think it's literally just shifting the responsibility from the UK government to actually sort themselves out and process these applications, and also be effective in the prevention measures.
I think the partnership with France could be effective if done right, because these people aren't just grabbing a boat and going across the channels. There's human traffickers involved in this.
Of course it is. And
no, there's no, you know, someone, they need to crack down that end, whether it's a joint operation, just France, whatever, but they need to crack down from that end, because someone somewhere is organizing this and making a lot of money out of it, and people are dying. And our RNLI are getting loads of shit because of it, but they're being exploited because of the situation. They're not going to leave a boat full of people struggling at sea. Their job is to save people in distress.
yeah, and it's not right to leave a boat in the middle of the sea struggling at sea.
No, it's not.
On the side of this thing, because NATO's a defensive pact, can we not trigger Article 5 against these these people, these traffickers, and make every country in NATO have to deal with these traffickers?
Well, they're coming for every country to get to France.
Exactly.
They're not flying straight to France, are they?
No, we need a sort of nip in the bud. The issue is we don't know where the end of the bud is. So
No.
the UK, France, and other European countries need to work together to prevent these traffickers, these human traffickers, because one, it is killing innocent people, women, men, children, they're dying. And frankly, some people out there are making a lot of profit of other people's misery. And it's wrong.
Oh, absolutely. That's the biggest thing that really bothers me.
Well, aren't they?
Sorry, Zoe?
They're just exploiting the
Yeah,
vulnerable, aren't they? And they're making
Yeah,
money
it's
from it.
horrendous.
yeah.
It's awful.
But the thing
must
is,
say,
where there's demand, there's opportunity to make money, and there's a demand to get out of certain countries, and these traffickers are exploiting it. They're not using safe measures, obviously, because they need to be sort of under the radar, so to speak. But we can pinpoint where terrorists are. We can pinpoint where people are, where criminals are. Why can't we pinpoint where these traffickers are? Why can't we pinpoint them being sort of? There has to be a communication network, and we must be able to sort of get into that communication network.
Intelligence services must be looking at it. They must be.
Yes, obviously well above our pay grades, but yes, of course. But I know it sounds simple. It won't be simple, but surely to God, there's got to be ways in regards to how we can get into these networks and break through. At the end of the day, these traffickers have to be communicating with the illegal migrants. So how can we then gain opportunity through the illegal migrants once they get here to chase the communication back to these traffickers? I wonder if the issue is jurisdiction. These traffickers being certain countries that we don't have jurisdiction with. And that's when I think we need to look at creating a pact with all the other countries involved to make sure we bring these criminals, these murderers, to trial and prosecute them. And that's how we prevent all these illegal, obviously, crossings.
I also think the Bill of Rights. I like the idea of the Bill of Rights, but
I like
don't
aspects.
I don't like the idea. Like the Court of Human Rights and the Convention of Human Rights are two different things, obviously. But I love the idea of the European Convention of Human Rights because it was laid down after World War II. It's a very good thing. It's there to protect people, but it has been exploited to a degree. And as long as a lot of that comes across, I think. But the thing is, I don't know if we're changing to the Bill of Rights to solve this particular reason, or if it's genuinely we want to have a Bill of Rights as we're a sovereign nation and we want to be able to control what we do.
I think the Bill of Rights came out for this particular reason, but I think it's more sort of evolving into a more universal bill, a universal thing to benefit the UK as a sovereign nation. Do I think that will get passed? I don't. Do I think it'll ever come into fruition? No. And I think simply because the only way we could probably get this bill sort of at least close to becoming realism is through the majority we've had since 2019. And we're going to lose that majority massively. I know there'll be the odd Labour person that probably like the idea of the Bill of Rights, for instance, but the chief whips, the whips that Labour will have, will prevent that because it is very sort of non-Labour to have the Bill of Rights. And to be honest with you, I can't see it unless in 10 years' time we win a majority or we win the next election, like the election in 10 years' time, because the average sort of government lasts between 10 and 15 years here in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that we won't ever see the Bill of Rights. In fact, I think there's more likelihood we'll end up back in the European Union than we'll see the Bill of Rights.
I don't think you're wrong.
And I think the aspects of the Bill of Rights has got some very good aspects in it. It's got a lot of pros in it. It does have a few cons in it, but it has been marketed as this right-wing propaganda tool when it's not. And if you read up on the Bill of Rights and you read up on sort of aspects of it, you'll understand that. But the vast majority of the UK electorate don't want to read up on it. They're not interested in it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the vast majority of what's going to be in the Bill of Rights, it will affect most people, but they're simply just the one that follow by the rules. Questions to Pat.
Oh, are we ready for questions to Pat? So we have 3 questions. So the first question is, what has been our favourite books or novels from this year that we've read? I mean, the book doesn't have to be from this year, obviously.
Oh, God, 2 secs.
So it doesn't have to be a book from this year?
No, just a book that we've read this year.
I'll listen to.
I reread Animal Farm in 1984, and I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Nice. I've never read that book.
Read them, they're good.
I'm just updating Audible to tell you now, but Strasbourg in the Dark is a physical book. I recommend it by Scott, so that was quite interesting. It was an intriguing sort of read. Well worth it. Might be able to get one to give away to a Patreon, so make sure you subscribe to us on Patreon. Might get one signed by Mr. Rab. Just need to make sure Scott gets it sorted. You know Rob, by the way.
Our friend Rob.
Pat and Rob.
I think mine was probably, considering I made such a song and a dance out of this book, it's going to have to be Out of the Blue.
What is it exactly?
So it's obviously by Harry Cole and James Hill, and it's obviously about Liz Truss. So her obviously very short premiership.
Very short book.
But no, it does go obviously about her political career when she first started. It says about her childhood. I haven't actually finished the book yet though, so I can't tell you what happened. But I'm sure we can work it out considering we lived through it.
Does it take long to read because you have to keep turning back over? Keep U-turning the book?
Yeah, you have to go from chapter to chapter. So, you start at chapter 5, you go to chapter 1.
Yeah, I thought so. So you get to page 6. Please return to page 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, thought so. Right.
That's why I've not finished it.
Poor Liz Truss every time on this podcast.
Well, I waited longer for that book to arrive than what Liz lasted as Prime Minister.
Well, what do you get? Amazon Prime next day delivery?
No, I pre-ordered. So I got really excited about this book and I pre-ordered it the 1st of October, no, not October, September, was it? Oh, I don't know. And yeah, I waited a long time for this book, but it's been well worth it.
Well, I re-listened to so David Cameron always adds new stuff to his book for the record. So I've got his Audible book, so you do get the new sort of segments that he adds in it. So I caught up on that. I think I've listened to that book more than any other book in it. I find David Cameron's book extremely good, and I know you agree with that, Scott. I see you sniggering.
I wasn't a huge David Cameron fan, but I've learned to respect him a bit more because of his book.
I think his book's fantastic, and I've got no bias to it, honestly. No bias towards David Cameron whatsoever.
Not at all. There's not a poster on your bedroom wall, is there?
He isn't. The missus won't allow me to put it up.
I haven't finished this book, but I've started reading a book by our guest by one of our guests in January. It's a book by Roger Stone called "The Man Who Killed Kennedy," and it's kind of making a case that LBJ was behind the assassination of JFK.
Oh, interesting.
That's Lyndon Johnson. It's really interesting, and Roger Stone doesn't hold back in it. It's quite a good read, so I recommend that as well.
I'm looking forward to speaking to Roger in January, and should make an interesting podcast.
Absolutely.
Any other books, Zoe, Scott?
I'm looking at my bookshelf as I'm doing this.
Yeah, but I imagine they're like coffee table books, aren't they? You see them in the shop and you like the cover and you think, oh, that look good on the shelf.
Yeah,
I don't actually. I'm not.
I do that. I call them Weatherspoon books because they're usually in Weatherspoons are the old looking book. So
Well, I do the same. Oh, I totally forgot a book. It's called Nixon Land. It's absolutely amazing. It's kind of like a historical chronology of Nixon's premiership.
Oh,
it follows his entire career. It's really interesting. It's a series of books. It started with a book written about Barry Goldwater, which is actually one of Roger Stone's influences into becoming a Republican back in the late 50s, early 60s. And it just follows the sort of Republican timeline, and it sort of goes into sort of Nixon's era to Reagan, into neoliberalism with Thatcher. It's fascinating, so I'd highly recommend that as well.
I mean, if you can't tell, Scott's really into his US politics. So it's going to be interesting on the run up to the next US elections on the podcast we're going to do. I think we will focus come the next elections on quite a lot of US guests as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Should be good. Any more, Zoe? I've got no more, so that's why I'm asking.
So I've also enjoyed Boris Johnson, The Rise and Fall of a Troublemaker at number 10 by Andrew Gimson.
Right. Sounds good.
Very similar to the Liz Truss book, but just by Boris Johnson.
She likes failed leaders, if anyone's there, not really.
My whole collection is just books on failed leaders.
For the record, I worked on Liz's campaign.
I'm Peggy, so he hasn't got a good track record either.
So I'm not slandering her.
Penny will be leader.
For the record.
And how can we forget Penny Morden's book, The Greater, is absolutely amazing.
Not biased there at all, Scott. Right.
Not at all, no.
No. So moving on, what other questions, Zoe?
We do. So our next question is, what has been our favourite political moment from this year?
Oh, God.
God, that is a question.
I actually thoroughly enjoyed the Liz Truss premiership. I found it quite entertaining. Being able to say, I told you so to so many people.
And continue to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I never had to backtrack.
You didn't have to do any U-turns.
No. I was ready for Rishi during the sort of leadership bids. And Rishi told her in the hustlings that her economic plan would fuck us over. It sure enough did. So anyhow, your favourite ones. I really, do you know what, this year to me has been not bland as such, but there hasn't been any big moments within politics.
Yeah. Well,
I think my favourites has been that I was in Benidorm every single time that we had a new Prime Minister this year.
Bloody hell,
I don't know how I planned that, but
I don't think I'd class Benidorm as a holiday though.
Oh, here we go.
Right. Don't knock Benidorm until you've been there.
My brother ran bars in Benidorm, and it's no different to the bloody show. It's no different. The show isn't a parody of Benidorm. It is factual.
No, I disagree. I disagree. The old town in Benidorm is beautiful. You can literally sit at the viewpoint. You can have your jug of sangria. You can take the world in. It's got a beautiful church.
I got images of you sat on the beach in a pink cowboy hat and a jug of cocktail.
Shouting French.
God, don't get our listeners excited. No, that never happened. I wouldn't be seen dead in a pink cowboy hat, I'll have you know.
Oh dear. Moving on to my one. Mine's probably a bit morbid, but I thought it was a really good reprieve from all the crap we've been going through. And it was when all the politicians were doing their statements about the Queen after she passed away in Parliament. And the stories they gave of the Queen. I thought it was quite an uplifting moment after everything else we've been through, COVID, a million different elections, all the scandals, etc. A couple particularly stood out for me, and it was Theresa May's story about dropping the cheese and then putting it back on the plate and then realising the Queen was right behind her, and Boris's speech about the Queen. But it was really moving, and I thought it was quite nice considering what we were going through, and it was quite a joint up moment from everyone because we're so politically divided, even within parties at the moment. I just thought it was quite a nice uplifting moment and quite pleasant.
Yeah, it was. It's horrible to say it was nice to listen to, because obviously it was such sad circumstances. But yeah, I think I agree. Like the Queen's passing sort of it slowed everything down. It allowed us to realise how sort of fortunate we were in regards to have such a great monarchy and how respected she was on all sides of the political divide. And it was nice to listen to. But yeah, any other questions, Zoe?
So our last question is, who is our political inspiration?
David Cameron.
I can't truly say I've got one.
Scott,
No.
move away from the mic a little bit because I'm getting loads of crackling when you talk.
Crackling, it's probably just my voice.
No, it definitely isn't.
It's probably because the mic's on my headphones. It probably picks up when I breathe. I'm sorry for breathing.
Are you not using your new microphone?
No, not yet, no.
What waste
I haven't set it up. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I've got so many different. Roger Stone's one of my political idols because I just like he is a hell of a strategist. He's pretty ruthless. He's hated by a lot of people, but he's got a lot of people elected in the past. I mean, Nixon, Reagan, Trump, whether you love him or hate him, he's been involved in each one of those campaigns. So I do think he's a political genius. Steve Baker. I think Steve Baker's one of my political idols. I thought he did a great job during lockdown, sort of trying to defend our freedoms and liberties from being taken away from us. I think there's a lot of fear mongering during lockdown with the lockdowns. We had this conversation before. I think some of them were just, but I think sometimes it went too far. And of course, Penny Mordaunt.
Nice.
The tumbleweed at the end there.
Yeah.
I was trying not to say anything.
No, you're not.
So my year is obviously David Cameron. He was the sort of the prime minister at the time I actually got interested in politics, and I thoroughly enjoyed his premiership. I enjoyed his style of politics. I enjoyed his style of policies. And yeah, so I listened to his book, which was a huge inspiration for me to really delve into politics massively. And he's the main inspiration. I think also I really like Johnny Mercer. I think his story of becoming a politician is very interesting. And I also feel that his military background gives him a lot of sort of oomph, and the sort of the support that he has for that military for the military personnel, for the veterans, and just the support for the community, for the military community that Johnny Mercer has, I think is quite inspiring. So I think them two are my biggest sort of probably the biggest two idols I have. I'm going to do a sort of I'm about to get kicked out of this podcast permanently, but I actually quite enjoy listening back over Tony Blair's premiership, not as an idol, but obviously just intrigued in the way he changed Labour I think was fantastic in regards to made them more a bigger competition for the Conservative Party. I think that was the main thing from Blair. He obviously New Labour and stuff. And I think what he done with that, I don't agree with his politics. I don't support the Labour Party, but I think the way he modernised the Labour Party was massive. I think it's similar to what Cameron done with the Conservatives as well.
I think I'd allow that because knowing your enemy is a good thing.
I agree. Zoe?
I'm not entirely sure if I do have one, you know. I obviously adore Penny.
Liz Truss.
Yeah, Liz Truss. I don't know if I want to admit that though.
You seem to like Nadine a lot.
I'll have people with pitchforks after me after this.
You like Nadine a lot. You do a lot of talking about Nadine and using a lot of gifs of Nadine.
I love Nadine, but
you're besties on social media, aren't you?
Me and Nadine are besties on Twitter.
Yeah, we had an exclusive, didn't we, on the favourite biscuit?
So we now know what Nadine's favourite biscuit is. So are we ready?
It's a s'mores without marshmallow, isn't it?
Yeah, she just basically said she does a fancy way of making one of those. Hang on, where is it?
It's two digestives.
I don't think it's fancy. It's two digestives.
Yeah, all right.
Together
All right, I can't remember what she said. I wasn't expecting her to reply.
She didn't reply to our request afterwards, though, did she?
Nope.
She did ignore us afterwards. But though she did like my tweet saying excellent choice.
You should have tagged
her
us in that post.
favourite
I keep
is
telling you.
2 milk digestives pressed together in a chocolate digestive sandwich and then dipped in tea.
Fantastic, I suppose.
Boris.
She likes a soggy biscuit.
And on that note, shall we move on to the Christmas part?
I think we should.
I agree.
Sean, you all right?
Hello.
Yeah, use.
Yeah, we had a couple of technical issues. One of them was we had this laughing from Scott that would not stop.
For about 20 minutes.
It was about half an hour we tried to record the intro, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good fun.
I feel a bit left out that you've all got backgrounds. What's going on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We've tried to look professional. It just doesn't come across in the audio. All the game, but no idea.
That's how we've always been, isn't it?
Before we start the Christmas quiz, quickly, what's your opinion on the Piers Morgan? No, it wasn't. They're just as bad as each other. Jeremy Clarkson article on Meghan Markle.
Yeah, I was literally just talking about this because it was just on the news. I think he's gone too far with that. I don't like her, don't get me wrong, but I think wanting to throw shit at her in the street while she's paraded naked isn't the best way to go about saying that you like someone, you don't like someone.
Absolutely.
You can have your opinion, but I mean, you all know my opinion, but I don't think I would, I've never watched Game of Thrones, but I don't think it's right.
No, I agree. You're right. It's not right.
Just who are they laughing because they think because Jeremy Clarkson?
I'm laughing because I'm trying to look at Scott. And all I keep seeing is him disappearing like that. It looks like he keeps getting rebirthed every time he comes back in. So I'm sorry, Sean. I wasn't laughing at particularly you. Yes, but Jeremy Clarkson is disgraceful. Throwing shit at people is vile. But his reaction to that was very childish. And then my reaction to him was even more childish. And then I could see Zoe fighting not to laugh as well.
I was like, one of us has got to keep it together.
Is that what the laughing was before?
It was we won't discuss that.
I had it there in my bedroom wall so that I wasn't looking at any of you, so that I didn't laugh.
The issue is, as soon as I know Scott's going to laugh, I look at him and it sets me off. I'm hoping we can stay professional when we've got guests on.
Okay.
Fine.
Concentrate.
I think
Right,
it's time for the
Christmas.
Christmas quiz.
Christmas quiz. So, Sean, we're going to ask. You're going to let you ask the questions.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to give the answers away till next week. Does that work?
Okay. Yeah.
Because I won't know any of the answers anyway, so I'm hoping the people
Okay.
listening will. But yeah,
Is it multiple choice?
Yeah. Well, sort of. Sort
Sort
of.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a
How many
few.
questions do we have?
6. So I've gone one over, but there is 6.
so
Cool.
I tell you what, ask them. We'll answer what we think it is, but
Yeah.
then sort of, should we just write it down on a piece of paper what we think it is, so we're not giving it out
Yeah.
verbally?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Also, what's the theme?
Well, it's sort of conservatives, but like I said, it was hard to find Christmas conservative questions. So there's a bit of well, it's mainly conservatives, but there's a bit of just like general politics. Let's just say that.
That's fine.
I haven't got any paper, so I'm gonna have to save mine as a note in my phone.
Well, that's your fault for being
Oh.
unprepared.
You're meant to be a
Well,
professional, though.
Well,
She's
Have
very
you got
professional.
an
wonderful.
adjudicator there so that they can see that you're not cheating?
That is a fair
believe
point.
me, I'm definitely not cheating.
He's Googling adjudicator.
Yeah.
What's an adjudicator? No, I'm joking. I know. That. I promise. I will send the screenshot afterwards.
No, we trust you.
Someone has to.
Right, when you're ready, Sean, let's go question 1.
Right. So, first question. So, prior to the 2019 general election, when was the last general election held in December? So, you have got some choices. Was it the 1983 election, the 1964 election, the 1923 election, or the 1992 election?
What
There
was
is-
the 1960s? One again, 1960 what?
1964,
1964, and the other 1920s?
1923.
Right.
You can only pick one.
That's not fair. 2 sets. I'm literally messaging the missus.
Number 2, then I guess we've all put our answers down.
Wow, wow. So there is a bonus point available for that question.
Ooh.
And it's if you can tell me who won that election. Oh no, because we're not revealing the answers, are we? So
Well, next when we reveal
What-
it.
Yeah.
yeah, go on. Yeah, go on. So whatever year you've put down, who do you think won that election?
Okay.
Right. Google after podcast.
Yeah, if you just wrote the questions down instead of your answer.
No, I'm editing the
No, I
podcast
wrote
so
down.
I can listen to that.
So number 2, we ready?
Yep.
Okay, which of these former leaders of the Conservative Party was elected as leader in December? Was it David Cameron, Ian Duncan Smith, Margaret Thatcher, or John Major?
If we fail this quiz, we can no longer be called political chinwag.
Just Chinwag.
Oh, I'm feeling this. I'm getting 0 out of 6 here.
Okay, we ready? Number 3?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know if you know, but Theresa May wrote a recipe for a Christmas cake in The Spectator a few years ago. So I want you to name me 3 ingredients from her recipe.
Hoping
And
it's
if you
in the new
get 3,
edition.
if you get 3, you get 3 points.
Okay.
It's a Christmas
Right. I've
cake. Is
wrote
it?
3.
That's what, sorry?
Is it a Christmas cake, did you say?
Yeah, Christmas
Well,
cake.
it's on the theme of
She's
Christmas.
opening
It's
a
not going to
bake-
be a chocolate fucking gatto, is it?
Well, you never know. It could be a Yule. It could be a Yule log.
not a cake.
She's opening
Well, it is,
she's
but-
opening a bakery there, isn't she?
Who is?
Theresa May.
Is she?
Yeah. That's probably why she's doing the recipe. 'Cause it's a bit random otherwise.
Oh, I see there is a fruitcake recipe in here, but it's from someone called Olivia Potts. That's neat good.
Number 4, right. So this one, that I've got 4 quotes from Conservatives. It's obviously they're Christmas themed quotes, but you've just got to tell me who said them.
Okay.
So the first one, Christmas is a season not only of rejoicing but of reflection.
Right.
Are they leaders or just Tories?
Yeah, they're a mixture.
Are you giving us multiple choice on who it was?
No.
Bollocks.
Just guess. I'm just guessing.
Just
Yeah.
guess.
David Cameron, David Cameron, David Cameron, and David Cameron.
I'll give you a clue. There's no David Cameron.
Oh, I'm fucked. I don't know anymore. Well, it can't be Liz Truss because she wasn't leader long enough.
Oh.
Well, it's not necessarily just leaders, is it?
Oh,
No,
fair point.
exactly.
Number 2, come.
Number 2. So enjoy your Christmas, get some rest, and sharpen your pens because we are not done.
We are not what?
We are not done.
Oh,
And this one was said very recently,
Oh.
like
might actually
This
get this
month.
one.
this month.
That's not Maggie, is it?
Number 3.
Yep.
Okay, this one's quite a long one. Large white envelopes containing the official House of Commons Christmas cards are everywhere. It is such an un-Christmassy card this year, but we have no choice, for one design only is printed each year and it is selected by a committee.
Is that this year's card?
No.
I was going to say, because this year's ain't too bad, actually. I've got one. You see that?
No.
You can't, can you?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, I
yes,
can.
yes.
Basically, Big Ben.
No idea.
No.
Not
Oh.
a clue.
I
Number
think
4.
I know who said the second quote though. I think I've suddenly remembered who it was. I
Well,
feel
don't tell anyone.
confident about that.
I think everyone should get number 2.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So recent. About a week ago. No, about 2 weeks ago. Ready for number 4?
Whose idea was
Yeah.
Left-wing snowflakes are killing comedy, tearing down historic statues, dumbing down panto, removing Christ from Christmas, and suppressing free speech.
Just by the word snowflakes, that's got to be relatively recent.
That's 2 weeks ago, isn't it?
That is 5 years old.
Yeah, relatively
5
recent.
years old.
And I'll give you a clue, it was a tweet. It wasn't a speech.
I'm going to, is it, I've put 2 potential names down on that.
Okay. Next question.
Yep.
So can you can you name the 5 education secretaries of 2022?
Oh, flipping heck.
I could probably name 2.
Can you name 5?
No.
Well, they change so regularly. Like they don't stay long enough to get to know them, do they? Really?
I can give you, if it helps, I can give you the dates they were education
That would
secretaries.
help Google. Yes. Or
So you've got September 2021 to July 2022. You've got the 5th to the 7th of July 2022.
I know who that was.
You've got the 7th of July to the 6th of September 2022. You've got the 6th of September to the 25th of October 2022. And then the 25th of October to now, with no change.
I've got 3. I think I've got 3.
next.
Last question. Right.
Mhm.
So, Forestry England has provided Christmas trees to the Houses of Parliament for over 20 years, so since the year 2000. Which part of England have they come from? So, is it Haldon Forest in Exeter, Alice Holt Forest in Farnham, Kielder Forest in Northumberland, or Cannock Chase Forest in Staffordshire?
I think I've got that.
There
one. I'm
is
quite
there is
confident.
some bonus points for this question as well.
Oh,
Okay.
go on then. What's the bonus points?
So since they've had these trees since the year 2000, can you name the 4 speakers of the House of Commons who have been in office
I can name 2.
since then?
It's 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I can name 3.
That's it, guys.
Very hard question. Well, the autumn.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be tough if he made it, though, let's be honest.
Thank you for tuning into the Political Chinwag this week with myself, Jordan, Scott, and Zoe. We enjoyed the Christmas quiz brought to you by Sean. And yeah, so we wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And we'll be back next week with some more subjects. And if you follow us on Twitter, that is Politics Chinwag, we are going to be launching on Christmas Day the announcement of January's guests, with some absolutely fantastic guests joining us right here on the Political Chinwag. Thank you, and as ever, please hit the follow, like, or whatever subscribe you have on the platform you're listening to us on, or watching us if it's YouTube. And we have now got Patreon. Please, if you can spare a bit of cash, support us on Patreon. It will allow us to go out and meet some more fantastic guests and get you involved. All Patreon members will be entered into all competitions to win memorabilia from our guests. And to top it off, if you go for our biggest package, you'll earn a free mug. Yes, a mug. Welcome to the Mug Club to anyone that does do that. And if you do, send us a picture for a quick cheeky retweet. Thank you for watching or listening. Goodbye.